Hi everyone, welcome back to LM Sabers. Today's video is one that I've been looking forward to for a while now, so I want to jump into it pretty quickly here. This is going to be a review and overview of the static R2 Luke hilt from RPK Customs. So this hilt is based on the lightsaber that Luke never actually uses it, but it is based on Luke's lightsaber from Return of the Jedi, from the scene where R2-D2 shoots it up out of his dome, and it flies to where Luke is waiting on the sail barge skiff. So this is that lightsaber. I will go to the desk cam in a moment and get a closer view of it, but this lightsaber was only used for that one scene. We never really get a good close-up shot of it in the movie. You actually only ever see about, maybe that much of it or so, just poking out of R2's dome. And that's all you ever really see of it. It never pops up again. This is, of course, not metal, as you can probably tell. This is made of resin, kind of a plastic material. And that is because they wanted something, I'm assuming, that would be light enough for whatever mechanism they were using to actually shoot the lightsaber up and out of the dome. And I'm assuming metal would have made that either harder or more hazardous when the saber landed if they did more than one take, which they may not have, because I don't know if resin would have survived more than one take. Well, I think we have some behind the scenes shots of it since then, so I suppose it did survive. But I definitely, with this in my hand, I definitely feel like if I dropped this on any kind of hard surface, it would not stay in one piece. So it is quite possible that they had some kind of airbag waiting, or had more than one of them that they used or something. But yeah, so just a quick overview of this. It is, of course, a resin cast of the V3. So there were several casts of the V3 made. And this is the resin cast that they used for the R2 hilt. And there was another resin cast made from the V3 that was used for Luke's belt hanger during the scene, or the stunt, where he jumps from the sail barge skiff onto the main sail barge proper, where he jumps and lands kind of on the side of it, and then throws the guy out. And so he's got a saber on his belt in that scene, and it is also resin. And I'm assuming that's because they were concerned that a metal one could, bruise Mark Hamill's leg or something, because those are really, really heavy duty pieces of stunt equipment, or of VFX equipment. And so you don't really want a big metal thing that's just kind of dangling there by a D-ring smacking you on the leg when you do a big jump, or I imagine that wouldn't feel very good. So he had a resin one for that, and then this was another resin one. And there may be more resin hilts that we don't really know of, but those are the two that we do know of, that we've identified, and that we know were used in the film. A quick couple of things about this. You'll notice that it is flat on top, and that's because it was, like I said, a cast of the V3, which was the metal hilt that was the primary dueling hilt for the Vader and Luke duel at the end of the film. And so that the metal version has a flat emitter, and so this one also is flat. There's no emitter dimple or nub at the top like most of the Lukes have. Moving down, you'll see that there's some kind of white showing through there, and that is designed to be the resin. I don't know that it actually is on this one. I think that it might be painted that way. This hilt was painted by Shameem, who is very well known in the lightsaber community. He had a YouTube channel that really showed off a lot of really cool stuff, and he still does projects from time to time. So this was a hilt designed by RPK Customs and painted by Shameem. Here you can see the clamp card. See if I can kind of adjust the light and get a better... There we go. You can kind of see there's a little bit of like a bronzish, like a yellowish color there. You have to be really up close to see it, and it's very weathered. But the clamp card is there. It looks like it's kind of a classic Graflex clamp card, as opposed to some of the other clamp cards that we see in, for example, the Hero and the A New Hope Graflex, where you have the bubble strip. This looks to be the more kind of classic kind that you see in the ESB Graflex. And you also can see there is, of course, the Graflex clamp. You've got a lever. All of this is resin cast, so it's all one piece. And then my favorite part about this is it's actually hollow for about an inch or so in there. And we don't really know why. Best guess is that maybe when it was inserted into R2's dome, there was maybe some kind of a peg that held it in place, or maybe there was some kind of a charge or something that was attached to it that would kind of blow and propel it upwards. We don't really know what the hole is for. We're just assuming that that was a functionality design choice. You never see it in the film, of course, but it is very interesting that it's there. So without too much more, I'm going to go ahead and switch to the desk cam, give a better up-close view of the hilt, show off some of the really minute details that the designs that from RPK were able to replicate, and we'll see what we can find. All right, so we're at the desk cam now, so I want to just go ahead and take a closer look at some of these details here. Starting at the emitter end, we can very clearly see we've got some damage and some chipping along here, and that is, of course, accurate. There is some damage and chipping on the actual prop. Different interpretations take different amounts of damage off the top here. It's really hard to say. We only really have 3 good photos of this thing, one of them being the screenshot from the actual film where it's sticking out of R2's head. The second being, the second and third being 2 behind-the-scenes shots of it. So it's really tough to say exactly how much damage there is throughout, but it's safe to say that there is certainly some. And that makes sense. It's a resin hilt, so it's fragile. And then you'll see kind of along here, here, and here, there's some white showing through, and that is the white of the resin. Some kind of weathering. Like I said, we don't really have close-up photos of it to really know for sure. It looks like what Shameem did here for a lot of these, maybe not all of them, but a lot of these, this white is painted on, which has a really nice approximation of what the reference photos look like. So it is possible that the paint has kind of perhaps, you know, gone bad or had some kind of corrosion or something kind of either chip away at it or layer on top of it. So it's either the resin underneath or something that's kind of gotten on top of the paint, on the real prop, that is. And so here we've got nice approximations of that with these white colorings through here. And if I turn it this way, you'll see the seam that runs all the way down the hilt, long ways. This is once again because it is a cast of the V3, and the V3 did have a seam running long ways. So this is literally just a part of the V3 that made it into this hilt, just like any other part of the hilt. We've got the neck that's painted in kind of a copperish brown and weathered to look like an approximation of the V3 neck. Moving down into the grip section, we've got all kinds of damage with the resin kind of showing through. And the clamp section has all kinds of weathering as well. And you can actually tell very clearly that this is from a V3. because of the clamp and the clamp orientation. So here we've got the hole that's present on the V3 clamp, and it's on the correct side. And then we'll see when I kind of turn it here, this is actually an upside down Graflex clamp, which is just like the V3. So top of the hilt is here, bottom is here. If we turn it this way, we can actually read the Graflex logo across there. So it's upside down, just like on the V3. You can even see the lever here with the little rivet. I mean, the attention to detail here is incredible. And then you can see kind of in the places through here where the casting process doesn't quite get all the shapes just right, because that's how casting works. And so you've got the top of the lever, but then the bottom is kind of an undefined blobbish section there. And again, this is all really accurate to what we see on the R2 stunt. And then the bottom here, this booster section, again, very clearly from the V3, as is the pommel. So all of this is nicely weathered. You've got a mixture of kind of the white showing through, as well as the black that's kind of reminiscent of the V2, the Yuma, and really, really nice job on the clamp card. Here you can actually see that goldish brass color I was talking about earlier. You can see that really well there. So overall, this is a really, really nice hilt, especially if you are really into the Luke Return of the Jedi hilt collection. There were a lot of hilts that were used in that film. Of course, you've got the cave scene hero, the I See You've Constructed a New Lightsaber, the Yuma, the V3, the V2, this resin stunt from the R2 scene, the resin stunt from the belt hanger from the jump stunt that Luke does. So there are a lot of lightsabers that made their way into Return of the Jedi as Luke's lightsaber. So this is a fantastic addition to those. I believe RPK still actually has these for sale on his website, both finished and unfinished. I think unfinished they are maybe $60 or $70, and finished they are, I think, around $150. So definitely look into those, because like I said, this is really, really a nice replica hilt of that, of the hilt used in that scene. And I was really surprised by really just how hefty it was. I mean, it's not metal, but it is solid. I mean, from here to the end, it's hollow with that hole that I was showing earlier, but from here up, it's solid. And so it's got a nice weight to it, a nice heft, and really, it feels substantial in the hand, which is quite nice. But yeah, I'll give one last look at kind of some of the distinguishing parts of this hilt. So you've got the hole here, where presumably something was inserted to either hold it or launch it. You've got the seam. You'll notice that there's no D-ring present on this. Now there is a D-ring hole of sorts right there. There's a dimple where you can see the D-ring presumably went on the V3 when they cast it, but they never did actually put a D-ring on this because they didn't have any need for it. You can see some of the other holes here that are present in the V3 for the hardware that was used in it over time. Got the Graflex clamp, back around to the seam here. The control box with the clamp card, which of course is all one piece. The grip section here. Really just gnarly, really cool looking. But it is very gnarly. I mean, very, very weathered, very used. Got the lower and upper thin neck portion, both weathered really well, as well as the emitter, which is darker on the top, kind of like the V3, and then is flat like the V3. So no nub or dimple on the top of there, like the other Luke hilts generally have. So this is overall a really nice piece of work by RPK, and Shameem did a fantastic job bringing it to life with the painting and weathering that he did on it. Both of those guys do great work, so check them both out if you get a chance to. RPK Customs, you can just Google that and his website comes up. Shameem is very active in the Facebook groups still, and he does various runs on, he'll do commissions on various kinds of hilts. Just keep an eye out for what he does. I'm going to go ahead and switch back to the main cam and finish out the video here, but I will leave you with just a moment of exploring this hilt just a little further before that. All right, so I just wanted to thank everyone again for checking out the video. Again, this is a really cool lightsaber. It is made by RPK Customs. This particular one was painted by Shameem, but you can buy them painted from RPK for, I think, around $150 or so. So definitely check those out if you are a big fan of Luke in Return of the Jedi. Again, it is a static replica, so it can't be installed with electronics, but for most people who are interested in this particular hilt, they already have a Luke that is installed with electronics, so just having a display piece is not a problem for them. Again, that is also accurate to what the actual prop was. The prop itself was not installed with any electronics. It was just a solid piece of resin all the way through, which is what this is. So if you're interested in that, definitely check out RPK and his website. You can just Google it and it will come up. And thanks for checking out my video. Until next time, may the Force be with you.